We typically meet in person in Atlanta, but now we're going to do it online because Rui is in Portugal. And so my name is Teo Lachev, your host for this meeting, your group organizer. If you're in Atlanta, please make sure you mark your calendars. We typically meet the first Monday of every month. So what I'm going to do real quick, 5 to 10 minutes, I'm just going to go through a few slides in here as I typically do. And I'm going to turn it over to Rui, who's going to do the main presentation. So as I mentioned, we typically meet in person. If you are new to the group, I'm not sure how you have discovered us, but our main page is on Meetup. And this is the URL in here. If you go to Meetup and search for Atlanta Microsoft Business Intelligence users, you will find us. If you want to get more involved, I'm always looking for speakers, sponsors when we meet in person. Sponsorship is essentially buy us pizza and drinks. And if you have any feedback, how to improve that group, just send me an email. So this is going to be online meeting and we are recording it. And once it's done, I'm going to upload it to YouTube. So you will be able to find the video in bit.ly Atlanta BIRX. So this is the abbreviated link to the YouTube channel. You'll be able to see there all the meetings that we recorded online since the beginning of the pandemic, for the past few years or so. And this one is going to go there as well. I'm not going to go too much into events and things like this to keep this introductory part short, but I just
Hey,
want,
Theo, I have
yep,
a quick announcement for the SQL Saturday coming up. So,
sure. Let me just finish with the Ignite. So Ignite
yeah.
already passed. It was November 19 to 21, but the reason why I still have it on this slide is because if you register, you get free access to the sessions. And there are some cool sessions around Microsoft Fabric that you want to check to see what's coming up, and also some cool sessions about artificial intelligence that I found very useful. So make sure you get your free digital pass, get access to the sessions. It's complimentary. Yeah, Damo, go ahead and announce SQL Saturday.
Yeah. So the SQL Saturday BI and AI one is coming up on the 8th of March. So just mark your calendars, and then the registration is already open. So if you want to, and also if you want to submit to speak at the event, please do so at the call for speakers uh, on the website. And I have put the link on the web for the SQL Saturday in the chat, so you can just pick it up from there and register on that, and then submit for speaking as well. So
And now we call
looking
it
forward.
BI and AI. Is that right, Damo?
Yes, correct. Yeah,
Just to, okay.
we have to update some things on the website yet, but it's just out for viewing right now. So the date is fixed on the March 8th, 2025. Yep. Thank you.
March 8, 2020, 2025, yes. Okay. And the last thing that I want to mention while we are in the introductory session, I just want to give you a quick tip. Typically what we do, we go through the latest Power BI and Fabric new features, and I show you, I typically show some of the ones that, I found the most interesting. This one, we don't have time for it. I'm just going to give you a quick tip, and this is about Power BI. Just new feature that came out called text slicer. So here is the issue. You are in Power BI, you are creating a report, and you have a field that have like a description, kind of very verbose field. And if this is going to be searchable, typically what we do, let's say if this is a slicer, we turn this, we go ahead and add the regular slicer in Power BI. We go in here, and then we bind this to, let's say, to the field that we want to search, and then we go ahead and enable the search feature, which allows the user actually to go and search partially for something in the text. So this is Adventure Works, so there is a lot of stuff about biking. And then what happens is that you get a partial match on the text that you typed in. So here in this table below, I have the description of this field. So what you have to do then, if you would like to see all the descriptions that have matches, then what you have to do, users have to actually go and do a multi-select on everything that matches in here. So the experience is a little bit not optimal. So now what we've got is, given the latest focus on enhancing the slicer. So previously we talked about button tile slicer, list slicer. So now we have a new visual called text slicer. So this is in preview, and to enable it as any preview feature, you will have to go to the Power BI options in here, and then you gotta go to the preview. And then somewhere in here in the slicer sections, you will see that we have this slicers, and the one that actually I'm talking about right now is the text slicer. So make sure you enable this, you restart Power BI desktop. And then what this feature is going to do is going to add a new text slicer visual in here. So now what I can do, I can actually add that new slicer in here. And then also what I have to do, I have to add a field, the field that is going to be searchable. And this is just one field. So in this case, I'm searching on the description of the product. So the difference in the experience here is that, let's say if I type bike, I don't get a list of options of actually text that actually matches the what I'm typing in here. I just can specify what I'm searching for, type it in here, and then click on this arrow, and that's going to apply filters on obviously all the visuals that are connected to that slicer, like the description in this case. That's pretty much the I guess the novelty in here. So if you're looking for a way to allow your users to do faster searches on text fields like this description, I think you might find this a little bit, the experience more optimal than using the regular slicer, if that makes sense. We got something in the chat window, which I promise I'm going to, okay, so this is Damo actually advertising the SQL Saturday, Atlanta 2024. Once again, great event. Make sure that you register. It's going to be in March next year. All right. So without further ado, and to accommodate again, Rui is joining us from Portugal. So that's why we're meeting a little bit earlier today. Without further ado, I'm going to turn this to Rui, who has done great work at Microsoft for enhancing Power BI desktop, kind of enhancing the developer experience. So we're glad to have him again coming to our group and talking about the TMDL view, TMDL experience in Power BI desktop. Rui, go ahead, please.
Hey, thank you, Theo. Let me share my screen and let me know when it's visible.
Yes, we see it.
Okay, and feel free to just interrupt me if there is any questions or something in the chat. So I won't be monitoring the chat. Okay.
I will also monitor Rui, and if I cannot answer something, I'll pass that to you.
Okay, great. So today we are going to talk about semantic modeling as code with TMDL or TMDL or Tabular Model Definition Language, if you like. My name is Rui. I'm a product manager on the Power BI team, and I'm lucky enough to be working on features that I'm really passionate about. So this is myself doing a presentation like, I don't know, 8 years or 10 years ago. Actually, no, Power BI is like 9 years. I think I made this presentation on the first year of Power BI, and it was Power BI for developers. And now I'm working on the behind the scenes of the features for the Power BI for the pro dev persona. That's where my focus lies. Not only on that, but that's where, as a PM, that's where those are the features that I'm more working more closely. So things like developer mode, the Power BI project, the TMDL language, the Power BI in asset report format, and also we are going to ship really soon the TMDL view that I'm going to talk and show you today. But before going into this, what we mean about semantic modeling as code, let's talk a little bit about TMDL and the tabular model definition language, which is a language, not only just a format that we shipped in almost 2 years ago. And by the way, this is already GA. So the language, and this is basically a serialization out of the analysis services database. And for analysis services databases, and if you are using the tabular object model, this is already GA. But you can look at TMDL as the textual representation of the semantic model, which instead of being represented as JSON and more like suited for machines, it was designed from the ground to be really easy to read and edit in any text editor. So it provides you, we really wanted to provide a really good experience when you open a TMDL definition to understand what you are seeing as a user. So you can understand, if you look at this, this is an example of a table being represented in TMDL. You know that, okay, this is the name of the table. These are the properties of the table. Okay, you have a measure. This is the DAX code of that measure. These are the properties of the measure. And then the same thing goes for every single object. It's always the same concept. So you have the object type and the object name and the properties inside of it. And it basically, you can look at it and say, okay, this is YAML. Yes, we borrowed some of the attributes of YAML, but it's not exactly YAML. And the reason is because we also, and one of the ultimate goals that we have with TMDL, that it's not for everyone. It's not a goal for every single persona. It's actually to provide you a code experience into semantic modeling. So instead of using the GUI and using a user interface, if you want, you can go to the TMDL file and just make edits and like create columns, create measures, create a new table just by using a code editor such as VS Code. And we do have also a VS Code extension that you can install to make this experience a lot better. And I'm going to show you. It's also another very important tenet or important attribute of TMDL is it is just great for collaboration. It was also designed it was designed from the ground up to be like good for collaboration and provide a great collaboration experience. What I mean by collaboration is, let's say you have two developers working on the same semantic model. You will, because you have a folder structure, if they are using Git and source control to manage their semantic model, they can. This will just minimize the conflicts a lot because they are not competing for the same file, for the same. So the chance of conflicts is way lesser. But at the same time, if there is a conflict, you will see that conflict in the TMDL instead of JSON. So, for example, in here, there was a change in this DAX measure. It went from minus 11 to minus 12, so probably a fix. And I can clearly see that change in the DAX code. This is not that change in the DAX and the TMDL file. It's not the same thing with the previous format that everything was being stored inside a single JSON file, where the DAX expressions they get encoded in multi lines of JSON. So it's simply not as readable as with TMDL. And also, and this is actually one of my favorite things about TMDL is just reusability. Even if you don't care about source control, if you don't care about Git, it's too advanced for you. When you save a semantic model definition, if you save a Power BI, your Power BI project, your Power BI PBIX file as a Power BI project, you'll get the TMDL definition of your semantic model. And things such as copy and paste of a table between two projects, two Power BI, two semantic models, it's as easy, it becomes as easy as a copy and paste. So you can see in here that doing things like, okay, I want to make sure that this calendar table will exist in model A and also will exist in model B. All I need to do is copy and paste the file. I don't need to do anything else. And I know that the entire definition of my table is going to get copied. So the measures, the columns, the Power Query expressions, everything. And how can you use TMDL today? So the easiest way is if you have Power BI desktop and today you are saving as a PBIX file, you can save it as a Power BI project, a PBIP. So this is just a new option on the file save as menu. And instead of Power BI desktop to save the entire definition, the entire development as a single binary file, you will see that you will get a folder. And you get a folder with a folder for the report, a folder for the semantic model, and inside of the semantic model, you get another folder called the definition, and it's in here that the entire TMDL definition of the semantic model will be stored. So all those files that I showed before, like, so you'll basically see some structure like this. Again, this might not be for everyone, and the developer mode is that it was built primarily for things like source control and Git, but I also want to make clear that developer mode is not just for that. So it's not, you should not think of, oh, I only need to use developer mode if I want to use Git and if I want to collaborate with others. No, that's wrong. So you may use developer mode even if you don't use Git. And I'll give you a simple example. And the reason why it can really make you a lot more efficient and a lot more, it can give you a lot of benefits, even if you are not using either Git or source control. And one example is this part of reusability, because I'm pretty sure that if you are a seasoned Power BI developer, or if you create a lot of Power BI reports, you definitely came across this situation where you have two PBIX files and you want to just copy a table from one report to the other, or you want to copy a report page from one Power BI desktop to the other. And those things, those are either impossible or hard to do in Power BI desktop. With a Power BI project, when you save as a PBIP, again, it's just a file or a folder copy and paste, and that's it. So that reusability thing is really powerful when you save as a Power BI project. And of course, that we can do a lot more advanced stuff, like just make changes outside of desktop just by using VS Code or Notepad, whatever the code editor or external tool that you use. And of course, if you use source control, track your history and code development. So let me play a demo. I don't want to spend a lot of time in here. I really want to focus on the TMDL, but let me play a recording that shows this. So you start in Power BI desktop, and now you go to Save As, and you have this this new option over here, the PBIP. So if you save as a PBIP and you hit save, now you are in that developer mode. And when you do that, you will see that in the title, if you click, it will show you, okay, now I'm saving into this file or into this folder, and the report goes here and the semantic model goes here. And you can conveniently click, and again, all you see is a folder. If you open the semantic model, you see the TMDL definition of that semantic model, and the same thing for the report. And in here, it's called the PBIR format that you get not in TMDL, but in JSON. You get a folder and a file for each visual. So what this allows you to do, let's say you have, I don't know, a calendar table and a time intelligence table that you want to make sure that you reuse, or you make sure it exists in that Power BI development that you are doing. All you need to do is copy the file. You go to the semantic model definition. You will see that you have a tables folder, and you paste it. And you will see that I already have a calendar table. So this means that I'm going to replace the entire definition, the entire development of my calendar table with this new one. And I can do exactly the same thing for the report. So as an example, so I have here a template page, something, again, really hard for you to do in Power BI desktop. Like I wanna start from a template page, and that template page will have a lot of visuals and placeholders that I wanna make sure that I will start from there and I can just drag the fields that I want into of my semantic model into that template page. So with the PBIR, all I need to do is copy the paste that already have the visuals and the bookmarks, whatever. And I go to the definition of my, in this case, not the semantic model, but the report. So I'm in the sales report definition, and I just paste the page into this folder. And now notice that my calendar table only have this 4 columns. I'm going back to desktop. So at the moment, Power BI Desktop cannot detect or does not detect automatically the changes that happen in that folder. So if you make a change outside of Power BI Desktop, you need to reload you need to close and open Power BI Desktop again. So that's what I'm going to do. And you can see that I only have 2 pages. So let me close and open. And now I have my calendar table with a different definition from what I had. I have my time intelligence calculation group, and I also have my template page that I just copied, I don't know, from another report, from a folder, from a gallery that I want to share with my developers. So, and this is just a quick example of how Power BI Developer Mode and Power BI Project can help you simply getting a lot more efficiency into your development process, and not using Git, not using source control, just by giving you a clear and open representation of your developments and showing everything as individual files. So every visual as an individual file, every table as an individual file. And now let's talk about what do I mean about this like semantic modeling as code, and let's focus a little bit more on the Tyndall. So in VS Code, if you install VS Code, which is a free tool, a code editor from Microsoft, so install it. It's really lightweight. And we built and we released actually last month the public preview of an extension that is the Tyndall extension for VS Code, which basically the whole point is to bring you an experience to straight in desktop to edit that Tyndall definition. So if you don't have the extension, this is how it looks like. So you'll see just a plain text of Tyndall, still good and readable. So it's not the same thing as with a JSON. So you can still read it, but it's not, after you install the extension, it's not as good as this one, where you get colors, you get a color identification of the objects, a color identification for the names. You get things like expand and collapse, so you can expand and collapse not all the columns, all the measures, really, really easy. So we call this semantic highlighting. You get autocomplete and IntelliSense. So let's say you want to create a new property or add a new property on the column date, but you don't recall the name of that property, like the data type, or you don't recall the available values of that specific data type. You can just press Control Space or just type typing, and the VS Code extension will autocomplete for you. And also, as any other language, if you make a mistake, if you mistype anything, you will see that the VS Code will show you a problems pane with all the errors, and you can navigate. You can have multiple errors on your multiple files, and you can navigate between them. So really giving you, again, that like semantic modeling as code, like for the more pro dev persona, for the ones that are comfortable enough to, let's say, make edits in VS Code and I don't know, if they want to create a measure or bring a new table, they do not want to open. You do not want to open Power BI Desktop and wait for that. You are comfortable enough to do that, and you can do that with the aid of an extension that, again, it will autocomplete. It will validate your code even before you reopen it in Power BI Desktop, or you publish this to the Power BI service. And again, in VS Code, if you are using Git, of course, that the Git integration of VS Code will also leverage the extension to show you the comparisons, the diffs, also with the semantic highlighting and the color coding of in the Git diffs. So you don't need to. So that will also be completely out of the box. Now, just to give you an example of how this can be really useful to you as a developer, and give you a little bit of edge on doing things like automating tasks that you don't like to do, or you have, let's say, you have a lot of tables and you have a lot of columns, and you don't want to spend the time manually creating the multiple measures. And I know that you have other alternatives like the tabular editor and scripting to do that, but you can also use things like the GitHub Copilot to help you automate such tasks. So let me show you. So I already have a Tyndall. I already saved this Power BI file into a Power BI project. So this is the Power BI project. And you can see that I have all my tables as an individual Tyndall file. And let's say I want to create a new measure in here. So all I need to do is open. You can see that, and this is not part of the extension. This is actually using the GitHub Copilot, which is an extension that we install in VS Code. And basically it will give you a way to ask the Copilot to do things for you, but it will also very conveniently do some autocomplete. So for example, if I type measure and I want to create a new measure, let's call it profit. So this is how I create a new measure in Tyndall. You will see that it's even auto-completing, and it's detecting that I already have a sales amount, I already have a cost measure. So probably if I'm creating a new measure, this is the DAX that I want. And it's kind of giving me a suggestion, and I can accept or I can discard if I want. Let's accept that, and just like that, I can create a new measure. But when I'm typing this Tyndall, again, I get all that autocomplete. So let's say if I create this measure, I want to make it hidden, I can just type is hidden. Okay, I already have a property named is hidden. And if I make a mistake, I will get this red squiggles over here that I can over my mouse, and it will tell me that something is wrong. And I can also, of course, expand the problem pane and see all the errors that exists in my file in here, getting listed and summarized in this problem pane. But this GitHub Copilot can be really interesting in actually we can instruct the GitHub Copilot to do things for us. So for example, I already have I have my costs table that I have a lot of columns and have some numeric columns over here, such as the shipping cost and the quantity. So I have a bunch of columns. Again, it's exactly what I have in my Power BI desktop. So I don't have any measures. I just have my numeric columns and my dimension columns. And let's say I want to create. And you can do all sorts of examples with this. So this is just all sorts of scenarios. This is just an example. So, but let's say I want to create a measure for each numeric column. What I can do is, of course, I can just start typing and say, okay, shipping cost, and the shipping cost is the sum. I can even leverage that autocomplete, and then after I create this one, I can just duplicate the measures and create the others just by switching the column name, or I can leverage the Copilot for that. So let's say I can just Control I, and it will open the Copilot prompt, and I can do something like create a measure for each numeric column where the summarized by is not none. And when I say the GitHub Copilot to do something like that, it's able to detect that the pattern of it's not that it knows how to write Tyndall, because Tyndall is fairly new for the LLM, but it knows that, okay, if I represent a column like this, then probably the measure can be also represented like this. He knows how to write DAX because, again, DAX is already available for a long time. And I can keep going. And this is the interesting thing. So notice that the measure, it's using creating the measures using the aggregation for each of the columns. That I can keep going. I can say, okay, set a format string appropriately. And it's even able to create a format string and suggesting a right format string, like, okay, shipping cost is like this, quantity is just representing the whole number. And when I'm done, I can click accept. And because my cursor was in the wrong place, it's even telling me that the indentation is wrong, so I need to fix that. So yes, it can hallucinate, but this is just an example. But you can, what I'm saying is that you can instruct the Copilot to do things for you, and it will just automate the TMDL that you need to do. And then you can do other stuff like, for example, rename all my columns into lowercase and prefix with dim underscore. So something like this. And he knows that, actually this one did not work quite well, but let me see if maybe I need to select. So rename all my measures into lowercase and prefix with fact something. See now. So he knows that the measure name, or he detects that the pattern, okay, this is probably the measure name, and he's able to do what I'm asking to do. And notice that it just renamed the measure, but it did not rename the column name. So, and when I'm done, I can just save and open and go back to Power BI Desktop and continue my work. The same way that I can, as I showed you in that recording, just copy and paste a file. So again, this is a different kind of semantic modeling. So this is not using a UI. This is using the code. This is opening that folder of my PBIP. So you are saving, instead of saving as a PBIX, the only difference for you as a developer is, instead of opening the PBIX, is you open the PBIP. And actually, let's try to do that. Now, if I save this, and if I open it, this PBIP, if that Copilot experience didn't hallucinate, it will just open with all those changes that I did in VS Code. And the beauty of this developer mode and the PBIP is that it's your choice. You can do some things in the UI. Maybe you start with just using Power BI Desktop, you do all the modeling, and then for a certain task, like something that, I don't know, maybe it will require a find and replace over the entire model, or it will require you to, I don't know, again, copy, reuse some other code or some other definition from another model. This is where you can take a lot of advantage in getting access to the behind the scenes, to the code behind of your Power BI development. So you can see that now I have all my measures, everything that we did in that VS Code created in here. So you can think as a Power BI project, kind of the code behind of your Power BI development. So we give you like full transparency into whatever Power BI Desktop creates, and we also give you the possibility to make changes to those definitions outside of Power BI Desktop. Okay, and I'll stop to see if there is any questions.
No questions so far. Just to remind the participants, if you guys have any questions, please post it to the chat window, and we will get it answered. Thank you.
Very well. And now let's talk about this this new feature that we are shipping really soon. It's called the TMDL View, and I'm probably biased in what I'm about to say, but I do believe that this is probably the most significant enhancement that we made for Power BI Desktop for this, I'd say, pro dev persona, or the persona that, or for the user that really wants to have control, really wants to have transparency, really wants to get a lot more efficiency into doing certain tasks. Like I want to create 20 measures in batch. I know that what I need to do. I know the DAX that I need to write, but I don't want to wait, like click, create a measure and do like 5 clicks for each measure and wait 3-4 seconds for each measure. I really want to do this in a batch operation. I want to make all those changes. And when I'm done, I just want to hit apply. And in less than a second, I want to see that in my model. And TMDL View is a feature for that. So the goal of TMDL View is to bring you the TMDL language straight into Power BI Desktop, is to bring it as a code editor, is to bring it with all those experiences that you have that I showed in the VS Code. So it's basically running, in a way, VS Code inside of Power BI Desktop, just like DAX Query View. But instead of writing queries, what TMDL View will let you do, it's a scripting experience. It will let you script any object from your semantic model. So when you open TMDL View, you'll be able to script any object from your semantic model, and it will let you. It can be just like that. It's already a great thing, because it gives you visibility into every single object, into every single property, everything. We are not going to hide anything from you in TMDL View. This is already a good thing, just like that. So I just want to see the properties. I want to see I'm taking a semantic model from another developer. I want to see what certain properties that the column has that Power BI Desktop is not even showing me, like the annotations and properties like the detailed rows expression. So things that you cannot even edit in Power BI Desktop. So that's one, the transparency. Then, of course, the efficiency, because it's a code editor. So you can take advantage of things like find and replace, or things like edit multiple rows at the same time, and batch editing offline. So you can just duplicate a bunch of measures and keep typing and without any lag at all. And also, and very important, control, because we are not going to stop you from editing any property. So even things that today they are perfectly supported. A very known example are things like the detailed rows expression, which is an expression that you can customize whenever your end users using Excel, when they double click a measure, what's the DAX, what's the query that is run, and it's returned to you as a table in Excel. You cannot control that. You cannot edit that in Power BI Desktop today. You will need to use an external tool such as Tablet Editor, or save as a PBIP and add the expression there. But with TMDL View, you can just script the measure and write the detailed rows expression and apply it back to the model. And last but not least, again, the reusability part, because the same way that you can reuse TMDL files, and TMDL View is nothing about the source control. This is a scripting experience. We are basically giving you a different interface for you to interact and make changes to the semantic model. So this is not saving any files. This is not, you don't have it's not the source control representation of your semantic model. It's just we let you write scripts and apply those scripts back to the model. So the reusability here it takes things to a next level, because for the first time with TMDL View, you can actually script things out of Power BI Desktop, just as, okay, I want to script a calculation group. You get the script and you can share it with another user, and that other user can take that script and apply it in their model. So that's one example. Another example is you can, like a blogger, say Theo, can make a blog posts talking about some performance, like creating that will need to create some measures, and he can actually, in his blog, he can write, okay, you will start with this measure, here's the script for the measure, then here's the script to change this property, now go and test and with a performance analyzer, and now run this script to change another property or bring another table. And you can have like this iterative way to tell your audience what they need to do on the semantic model when they are following the blog. And another example is you can just have a gallery of scripts that you can share in with your team, and by scripts I mean everything that can change the semantic model. Again, it could create like a script, could be create a new table, it could be change a property, change a measure, it could be it could even be the whole model. Like okay, I want to start the Power BI desktop. Okay, I want to start with this semantic model definition that will have like a bunch of tables in there, and I can just apply and replace the entire model that I'm developing. So it can be really, really powerful. And I do believe that this will take efficiency to the next level on how users can just get started when they are developing their semantic models. Again, more on the pro dev side, but still it can also be used, especially this reusability where I can just take a script and apply it in my semantic model. It could be used by anyone. Okay, so enough talking. Let me go and start showing you the feature. So TMDL View, when you enable the preview feature, you will see this new tab over here. So we already have the DAX query view, and now you'll have the TMDL View. And when you open the TMDL View, it will just open as a blank code editor. So just have like this watermark text, just give you some instructions on what you need to do. You will also see some guidance tutorial on how to use the feature. Because I already used it, it's not showing up to me. But what you need to do, so the basic experience would be, okay, I just want to see the definition of something. Let's say I want to see the definition of a table. So all I need to do is drag the table into my code editor, and I will see the entire definition of the table. It always starts with a command. For now, we only have the create or replace command. So the TMDL, and this is like the TMDL language will also support TMDL commands and TMDL scripts. At the moment on the public preview, we will only support one command, but this will evolve. We will have things like refresh, alter, delete, drop. But for now, it's just a command. But because I dragged the table product, I have the entire definition of my table product, and it means like the entire definition, even things that maybe you don't even know what they are. So things like the lineage tag, and every single property of every single object, including the Power Query expression. Power Query expression is in here. So yes, it means that things like, okay, again, something that you cannot do today in Power BI Desktop. Let's say you have, I think I have a direct an import table in here from a SQL. You want to switch from import to direct query. Okay, just type direct query in here. So again, you get the same autocomplete experience that you get in VS Code. So just typing direct query in here, paste, and guess what? Apply, and now my entire table, my employee table, that was an import table. Now, if I open it, it's a direct query table. Again, something completely impossible to do just using the UI. It's not that it's not supported. It is supported, but the UI does not let you do that. And that's the part of the control. You get the full control over the semantic model. You get the full definition. You can apply those changes back to your semantic model. And every time you apply a change, you get a feedback that, okay, the change got applied. You also get an output pane that is independent for each tab. So if I switch tab, the output pane only shows me the output pane of that tab. So just like the SSMS experience, the SQL Server Management Studio for the ones that know it. And again, you can make any change. You can even change the Power Query expression and apply it, and then refresh, of course, the semantic model. So by the way, let us change this back to import, apply, and now my table gets back to be an import table. Of course, that I don't have any data now because I just when I switch between import and direct query, the data of the table goes away. So I need to refresh it again. But after I refresh, I will have the table. I'll have the data. Come on. Okay, here it is. So this is the first part. Just I jumped a few steps, but I just scripting, viewing the definitions. You can also script by dragging, but you can also do right click and script tab. But you can also do multi-select, and you can. And we are scripting things like tables. By the way, you can even script the full model. You can even see the full model in here, and you can leverage things like find and replace. You can do like Control-Shift-L and make multiple changes at the same time. So that's the efficiency thing, because this is a code editor. And it's a really powerful and rich code editor. So it's not just like Notepad. But one thing that it's really interesting is that you can go deep dive. So let's say you just want to focus on a column. You can just script the column, and you can just see the definition, and you can make changes only to that column, because here it's using the TMDL semantics of the ref. I'm referencing the table, and this is the object that I want to change, and I can make changes to it. And guess what? Multi-selection also works. I can select like multiple columns from different tables just by hitting Control. Again, I can drag and drop, or I can just right click and script. And when I script it, now I have all my tables, every table that I selected. And now I can really focus on these tables. And let's say I want to hide. And this is not a really great example for efficiency, because you can, in the model view, you can select multiple columns and hide it, but you will get a point. So I can use the keyboard shortcuts like the multi-edits at the same time, using pressing the Alt key. And now I can just enter, and is hidden, and edit at the same time. And now I hit apply, and I get that change immediately applied in less than a second. Because contrarily to when you are in the model view, when you are making changes in here, I don't know, hiding something, every single thing, every time you click on something, this is actually making a transaction to the analysis services database. And in this model, this can be fast, but sometimes on larger models, this can take a little bit more of time, because it's to apply this change to the analysis services database that is running in Power BI desktop. In TMDL view, that's not the case, because until you hit apply, nothing gets applied to the semantic model. So you are kind of working in offline mode. So, for example, let's say you want to create a batch of measures. You can just do things like this, like measure 1 equals sum of, let's say, costs quantity. And just like you can also do the same thing or a similar thing in DAX query view, where you can also create measures in batch, but you cannot put the properties. And this is where the TMDL view shines, because you can use the IntelliSense. Okay, you have the format string, and the formats in here is let's put some format string like this. And then let's say I want to create a measure for each numeric column. I can leverage the copy and paste, and the same. Likewise, like in VS Code, I also get the problem pane, so identifying all the errors that I have in my script. So I have duplicated properties in here. So let's just create all these measures, and then I can just change it to the appropriate columns that I have in my table. So it could be in here like the unit cost, and just keep going. And again, as I showed before, so making edits also at the same time, like putting a display folder over here, base measures, and nothing gets done. So if I look into my table, nothing gets done until I hit apply. So I don't have any measures in this table. But when I hit apply, then all those measures get applied. So you just saw like 5 measures getting created in less than a second.
Rui, would you mind?
Yeah,
Sorry
go
for
ahead.
interrupting you. Would you mind if we kind of stop you for a second just to ask a couple of questions in here that we have from the audience?
Yeah, let me just show you this last part of the detailed roles definitions, like putting
Sure.
a property that you cannot edit in Power BI Desktop, and then I'll stop. So, as I told you, there are things like detailed role definition that you cannot define on a measure. So you don't have even a UI to do that. The only way for you to define such a property or such an object is using an external tool like Tabular Editor, and you can open Tabular Editor and make a change. So in here, all you need to do is, if you don't already have an example of a measure with a detailed role definition, all you need to do is go and, okay, you have a detailed rows definition. You need to know what's the property that you need to edit. So in here, the IntelliSense and the autocomplete could help, and just paste the DAX expression that represents that detailed row definition, something like this, and hit apply. And now my measure one have my detailed rows definition. And what I mean by, okay, do you already have a measure with that detailed rows definition? Is now that if I script this measure, you will see that it will have the detailed rows definition, and you could just copy from a different measure. And yeah, sorry for that. Now, what's the question?
No problem. So we have a couple of questions, and the first one is, can I create a parameters table? This is from Emmanuel. I assume he means field parameters table in Power BI. I'm not sure if you're aware of this feature,
Yeah.
Rui, but essentially that allows you to. So is that exposed to the TMDL essentially?
Yeah,
Or
sure.
maybe if I have to rephrase the question, does any feature in Power BI get scriptable in TMDL?
The later. So anything that you create in Power BI, so you can script the entire model in TMDL. And what we are letting you do in TMDL View is not only script the entire model, as we are doing in the Power BI project, but we are letting you script only a specific thing that you want. So that's a good example. Let's create a field parameter in here. Let's go to the modeling, new parameter, fields, and let's create a field parameter that will let me, I don't know, select the measures, some measures, right? So create a field parameter, let's call it field param1. So I create that field parameter. And this is actually a good example. I'm glad that you asked that. So you have my field parameter. And now it comes a question. Oh, I need to create, I don't know, let's exaggerate, 10 more of this. What do you do? Oh, you have two ways. You have one way that, okay, you go and select new parameter again, and this is the parameter 2, and you select the measures that you want. Or you could know about TMDL View, and you know that TMDL View is a feature that lets you script stuff and lets you make changes to that stuff that you script and then apply it back to the model. So you open TMDL View, you created the first field parameter. You don't know the exact definition of this field parameter because you know how to create it in the UI, but you do not know how to create it with TMDL. But you can use TMDL View to teach you, because now when you script the new field parameter, you will see the entire definition of the field parameter, what it means in terms of metadata of the semantic model, what it means for a table to be a field parameter. And you will see things like, okay, the field parameter has a column with the related column details. It also has the name of as a calculated table. And now if you need to create a new field parameter, let's say field parameter 3, there are a few things that you need to be careful. Like if you try to create now, you'll get an error. And by the way, this is also a good thing to show you, because when you apply something that is wrong, you will get this experience. So it won't apply. It will tell you that, okay, we could not apply. Go to the output pane, and you will see the error in here. And it's telling you that there is an object with a lineage tag in this collection. And the lineage tags, I don't want to derail the meeting on that, but the lineage tag is basically for every collection that you have in Power BI, in a Power BI semantic model, such as tables, the lineage tag cannot be duplicated. So you have two ways to solve this. Either you put a new GUID in here or the new value, or just drop it, and Power BI Desktop will create a lineage tag for you automatically. And you apply, and now here we go. Now we have our new field parameter created for us with the entire definition. So yes, you can script anything. You can see anything that is getting exposed in the semantic model, including the entire semantic model itself. So yes, this means you can take a semantic model definition from one Power BI desktop, paste it into another Power BI desktop, and apply it and replace the full model. So think of how many scenarios this can open. But yeah. So
very nice. Very nice. Okay, so moving to the second question, which, by the way, Matt Mayer answered. Essentially, the second question is, what is the advantage of using this over the model BIM file? In other words, why would I convert existing models to this format? And Matt was saying, well, BIM file is JSON file, and there are some other advantages. I can also think of another reason. If you work with BIM, you have to reload your model, and there is a good chances that you're going to make mistakes because there is nothing to guide you. Whereas here, when you copy, for example, when you make a change, it's immediately reflected when you click apply. But if I have to extend that, so this is a good question that maybe you can expand, Rui. But also, if I have to expand this a little bit, what will be the advantage of using TMDL over, for example, other tools like Tabular Editor?
Yeah. That's a really good question. Okay. So what's the advantage of, let's start from the later. What's the advantage of using TMDL versus Tabular Editor? I don't see it as an advantage or disadvantage. So actually both are doing kind of the same thing. So both TMDL View and Tabular Editor, they are connected to the semantic model and they are applying changes. So with a Tabular Editor experience, you get a UI, much more like, to say, pro oriented UI, where you get all the properties in here. You can list all the properties, but it's still an interface. You can have multi-select, all of that. With the TMDL View, it's more oriented for those that prefer something like a code experience, like again, doing things like, I don't know, find and replace over the whole model, or like creating the measures by just duplicating, and you can see the code in here. You have like full visibility to what you are editing, and you make the changes. And when you are done, you apply those changes. So it's not, for example, when you save if I save this file, I'm not saving anything to my semantic model, only when I hit apply. But when I save, the script gets saved together with my file. So you will see that so in the PBIX, you cannot see that, but let's say if I save as a PBIP, you will see that you will get a TMDL scripts folder with all the scripts that you saved into that folder. So it's kind of a workbench of your of all the changes that you want to make. But I don't think that it's more like a better or worse. It will depend on so if you are more a code oriented person and you do like TMDL, then you will love this, and you will probably resort much more into TMDL View rather than Tabular Editor. But there was one really important and fundamental goal of why one of the main reasons why we built TMDL View, and one is it's finally to give you an experience in Power BI Desktop to change any property of the semantic model, and not force you to use a tool such as Tabular Editor. Because my problem is not that users are using Tabular Editor. I think that's great, and everything that we are doing is also allowing Tabular Editor to be better. Actually, this entire thing of the TMDL scripts, it's going to be exposed in Tom. So this means that tabular editors can also have a TMDL script experience in their tool. But the thing that I don't like, and the thing that we are trying to do with these experiences, like the PBIP and the TMDL view, is to stop forcing customers to use an external tool to change something that is perfectly supported, like setting a detailed rows expression. So you should not be, as a customer, forced to use an external tool to do such a thing. So
excellent.
And you could say that, oh, but you should have a UI. Yes, we should have a UI, and we will probably have a UI. But you know that it takes a lot more time to build a UI for everything that we are shipping in the analysis services, and we shipped even a long time ago. And in TMDL view, you actually have an interface to that. So we are going to fully expose everything for the entire semantic model and the entire objects and the entire properties for you.
Excellent. So Ed was asking again as a follow-up, any issues with deploying TMDL in Azure DevOps pipelines? How does TMDL actually, does it even integrate with DevOps pipelines?
Yeah, sure. So although that's, I would say, orthogonal to the TMDL view, so it has nothing, again, the TMDL view has nothing to do with DevOps and source control. This is, it's much more close to the same way that you can in, I don't know, SQL Management Studio, script and object make changes and apply, or in Tabular Editor, you can open and make changes to the semantic model. So TMDL view is a code experience, is a code window into your semantic model. Now, TMDL, the TMDL language itself, then yes, that's definitely for source control and ADO pipelines. And today you can deploy a semantic model with TMDL using a DevOps pipeline or the Fabric Kit integration or the Fabric API. So you have the Fabric CRUD API, so the Fabric item APIs, you can take a TMDL definition and call an API and provide that TMDL definition to update or create a semantic model in Fabric in the service.
Excellent. All right. A few quick questions in here. Jacek, if I can pronounce your name up, forgive me, I'm sure that I mispronounced it, but he's asking when the TMDL view will be available as a preview option in Power BI.
So I think the question was not exactly that, at least what I understood. I think that the question is when a tool such as like TMDL view will
That's
be
actually
done for the report, right?
That's the next question, and this I'm talking about two above. When the TMDL view will be available as a preview option in Power BI.
Sorry. Yeah, it's really soon. In the next release of Power BI Desktop.
Okay, all right, excellent. Which is December, I assume, this month or?
So yes, it will be this month.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Although there is yeah,
okay.
It's going to be the next release.
So soon for Christmas, we're gonna get it. Maybe a little bit later. It depends on if we're good or bad boys. All right. So the TMDL, Ed was saying. I just wanted to confirm that because I think that's important. Can Tabular Editor support TMDL? So I'm not sure if Tabular Editor can understand TMDL at all.
Yeah, for sure. It already does. So Tabular Editor already supports TMDL. So when you save as a folder in Tabular Editor, or when you have already, or you open as a folder, because the TMDL is not just a file, unlike the BIM file or the PBX, you need to save and open from a folder. So it already supports TMDL. Now, this experience of the TMDL scripts, so the ability to make changes like to a model using the TMDL scripts, that will come later because we are not yet exposing the TMDL scripting API. And the reason is we still need to do some work on the public interface of the API, but it will definitely come post public preview, so early next year.
Okay, excellent. And I guess the last one is when a tool like TMDL View will be introduced to report layer PBIR.
So this is actually feedback that we keep getting, and that is already on the Fabric Ideas website. There is already an idea about the PBIR or like giving a scripting experience as well for the report. So please do vote that. It's something that we do have it on the backlog. But it's not yet prioritized. Now, one thing that will happen that in a way could help in that regard is you will be able to when you are saving as a Power BI project, so you are using the PBIR, so you will have an option to open the VS Code straight from Power BI Desktop. And unlike today, if you make a change to the report, so what I'm saying is you open VS Code and it will open the PBIR definition of the report. So you will basically, instead of doing this in 2 steps as I'm doing right now, so it will open straight in VS Code, where you have the PBIR definition of the report. So let's say you change the visual position of a visual and you save. So today you need to restart desktop. So what we want to do, and we will certainly do it before the PBIR view, is we will let you reload the report again, and it will do it really, really fast. So this is not exactly the same thing, but it can help on that scenario where I just want to see the definition of this visual, make a change, and reload that in Power BI Desktop. It's not the scripting experience as in TMDL View, because the difference, and there was also that question a couple of minutes that I don't think I answered. The main difference between the TMDL View and, let's say, making a change straight on the TMDL files in VS Code or Notepad is that when you are making a change in here, you are actually changing the code behind. So as Theo said, if you make a mistake, it will fail to load or it will fail to reload. That's not the same thing in TMDL scripting, because in TMDL scripting, if you make a mistake, the apply will fail and nothing will happen to the model. So in here, you are actually changing. If you go to the file, so let me just open the TMDL part. So if you open the semantic model and you make a change to one of the TMDL definitions of the semantic model, you are actually changing, and when you hit save, you are actually changing the definition of that model. And if you make a mistake, you cannot so you cannot be protected by that change. So unlike the TMDL view, where you are just scripting things and you apply and you get a feedback if that succeeded or not succeeded, and you don't need to reload anything. You are just applying a change through code.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Rui. That's all for now as questions. Do you have anything else to? We want to be cognizant of your.
Yeah, let me just make you a final demo. Actually, one of my favorites. I also have another one that I can just give you a sneak peek, but let me just show you this one. So again, about that reusability aspect. So one aspect of the reusability is just, let's say, have this calendar table, and I want to copy this calendar table to another Power BI desktop. I can just script it, select all, copy, and go to my other Power BI desktop in the window and paste it. If I want, I can even change the name. Next, I think it's the same lineage tag, so let's remove that and apply. And now I have a really nice way to move things between Power BI desktop. So that's one. Another, probably more interesting use case is that because you have TMDL view, you can now think as a team. You can now think of like a snippets gallery, a TMDL snippets gallery. I'm just using SharePoint over here, but you can do whatever collaboration tool you want. And you can have things like, okay, I want to make sure that all my Power BI developers, they know that if they need a calendar table, this is the TMDL script that they need to use for that calendar table. Or if they want to use a time intelligence calculation group, this is the TMDL script. And again, this is the same thing for like internal purposes, but you can also think as a blogger or a community to start sharing these scripts so users can just get started and get a boost in when they are starting making a development. So instead of just writing an article on how to create a time intelligence calculation group, you can say, okay, I'm going to teach you how to create an time intelligence calculation group, but here's a link or here's the snippet that you can run and it will create everything for you. So, and I can just copy, go to my TMDL view, create a new tab, paste, and here we go. Now we have my calculation group. So I think this is pretty amazing. I think that this is like opening the door to really make people to help each other in a much more seamless and easy way, without just having like screenshots and that. You can still have that. It's still useful, but you can say, okay, if you want to just see how it looks like, this is a script. And again, it's everything. It's including everything that represents that table or everything that even represents a semantic model goes there. And just as a final sneak peek, of course, that we also have Copilot, and we will have a Copilot, not on the public preview, but soon after the public preview, we will have a Copilot experience in TMDL View, and that Copilot experience will be really focused not on doing complex stuff, but really focus on doing simple things, and simple things that you, as a Power BI developer, hate to do. You don't like to do. I don't know anyone that is a Power BI developer that likes to do things like setting descriptions across every measure or every column of the semantic model, or translating a semantic model into a new language. And you can see that I already have in here like 2 languages for my semantic model. I have English and Portuguese. So let's say I want to, and this is a small model, but think like I could be doing this for a model that have 100 measures. Think of the amount of effort that you will need to put to make a translation of that model with 100 measures. And with TMDL View Copilots, you can just open a Copilot experience. Oh, I don't know, this is not working. This is a private build, but okay, in this window is working. Sorry about that. So you can just open a Copilot prompt and you can just say, translate my semantic model into French. And what TMDL View Copilot will do, it will get the entire definition of your semantic model. So all the measures, all the tables, all the columns, and it will generate a script for you with the entire translation of your semantic model to the language that you specified. So in a way, it's kind of that VS Code experience that I showed you in TMDL, but a little bit more advanced, because it will also know how to do things like translations and set descriptions and other skills, but it will also give you that same experience that you have in VS Code. Like you can just have a TMDL script and you can open a prompt and ask the LLM and the AI to rename things for you or create a batch set of measures for you. And yeah, it's I'm probably having some issues here, but I can just play also a recording of this one just to show you how it looks like. But it's what we want to do in here. It's kind of automating, on letting you automate certain modeling tasks and really focused on things that are time consuming and you don't want to do. And And this is an example of the set descriptions. So it's basically going through the metadata of the semantic model and setting and creating a description for you. But unlike the other Copilot experiences, in here, we are not changing anything. We are going to give you the TMDL script. You have full control. You will see everything that the TMDL view is going to create, is going to do. You can review, you can change, you can adapt, and when you are done, you can accept the Copilot suggestion. And when you are done, you can hit apply. And when you hit apply, that's the point where the code will get applied into the semantic model. And not just those known skills. You can even do things like select a Power Query expression and ask TMDL View Copilot to document all the Power Query steps for you. Again, something, now think of multiple tables with like huge Power Query expressions. And this is actually a best practice that you should do that will give you like, whenever someone opens that Power Query expression, you can have an explanation of each step by reading the code and generating description out of it.
So just
this
one
will ship post public preview, but it will be really, really exciting, the possibility here.
So just to verify, if you don't mind,
and that's it. Thank you. I hope that you are excited about this. I'm certainly very excited about it. I think this is going to be opening a lot of great experiences for our users, especially those more pro dev personas. Yeah, can't wait to see what you guys will do with it.
Sure. Can you hear me? Hello? Sorry.
I can hear you, Teo.
Oh,
Rui, can you hear me?
Oh,
I
can.
can.
I think I was muted. I don't know if I
was
only.
thinking there's something wrong with
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now, Rui?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I don't know what happened.
Last demo, yeah, it's okay. The last demo you showed about the Copilot, is that a premium feature?
So that's going to require fabric capacity for sure. Yeah.
Fabric capacity. Okay. Well, sorry about that. Yeah, well, that was great. I mean, my feature outside the thing that you showed, which actually required that Copilot, which actually would require premium budget, was the copy and paste. I think that's a feature that we don't have in Power BI Desktop or any other tool. You know, kind of copying metadata from one file to another. I think that'll be great. I think that'll be awesome. But thank you so much. So we have a last opportunity to get some questions. Actually, that's not a question. That's more like a affirmation. It looks like the linguistic schema is now in the cultures TMDL. That is exciting on the PBIP format. And Jacek was saying, great presentation, great news. Thank you, Rui. Well, that was great. So again, this feature is going to be coming pretty soon, and you guys will be able to test it out. As an early reviewer, I think it's pretty cool, pretty exciting about that, and the possibilities that actually it can open. So I was thinking, Rui, that maybe at some point, you know, there will be an opportunity for developers to extend Power BI Desktop in a different ways. I was envisioning some sort of a, you know, external tools, something that basically developers can automate. Would that be a possibility for, you know, developers to extend with external tool using the TMDL features?
So yeah, so the TMDL is already available to you programmatically, because what if you go to the TMDL docs, you will see that you already have, so it's already part of the tabular object model. So things like serialization, deserialization, serialization of a single object, that's already available. So you already have full programmability into TMDL. So you can read a TMDL into TOM. You can serialize, make changes in the tabular object model and serialize it back into TMDL. So any external tool, such as Tabular Editor, that can adopt TMDL, and they are already doing that.
Right.
Now, that's one. The other thing is, okay, if you are asking, oh, but can I run a TMDL script programmatically? And for that, not yet. The reason is just that we need more time to refine and clean the public API for that. So for now, this is just internal, and only Power BI Desktop is using that. But we do want to have the TMDL scripts as an API, the same way that you have the TMDL command, so the TMCell command. So that's also something that exists for a long time. Things like alter and create or replace, you already have TMCell command. So what you can expect is have the same thing, but for TMDL. So right now we are only doing the create or replace TMDL. That in the TMCell world, this is basically create or replace, and you have the definition in JSON of that of the object that you want to create or replace. With TMDL, it's going to be the same thing, but instead of JSON, you put the TMDL, but it's also going to support way more scenarios, because right now on the create or replace of TMCell, if my memory does not fail, you are very limited to the objects that you can edit. So you can do a create or replace of a database or a role or a partition, but not much more than that. With TMDL, you can do a create or replace on whatever the object. You can even do a create or replace of a single column, of a single measure, of a single, I don't know, whatever the granularity of the object, you can make a create or replace. And this is this is interesting, because you have a programmatic way to read a script and apply that script back to the model in a very granular with a really low granularity, and at the same time without having to even have a connection to the server. Because with TMCell, to run a TMCell command, you need to be connected to an analysis services database. With a TMDL command, all you need is the metadata. It's just a tabular object model operation.
It's offline. Awesome.
But that's something that we will, when we clean up and publish the API, this is going to be much more clear. But the answer is yes. In the future, we will have you can use TMDL and TMDL scripts with any external tool.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is great. Looking forward how this feature is going to evolve. I think that's going to be all for now, guys. Well, the next one is going to be on January 6th. So have great holidays, and I'll see you next year. Thank you, Rui. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good time.
Thank you.
Great holidays for you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, you too. Bye.